racing with the wind, and the feeling that I'm under. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. Like a true nature's child, we were born to be wild. We can climb so high, I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild.
Do you hear me, Frank?
We good. Yeah, I don't know what happened. We just
Yeah,
disconnected us.
it just got disconnected, but it was also not bad because it was exactly around an hour long, and so I started to record again. I will call this episode 2. So welcome to episode 2. We spoke about Popeye's comment, right?
Yeah, if I recall, his view of the future with Barry being in there forever, I started to say that Barry's situation is kind of unique because, well, they normally can't keep you in there forever. But the problem is bifold or trifold, really, because he hasn't paid all his penalties and fees, and I don't even think he's renewed his passport. And they can't do anything. They can't even actually deport him unless he has a passport. Now, some people may look at this and say, well, they can always do a one-time passport, to get him out of the country. So I don't know what's wrong with that and why they haven't done that. But he still owes an enormous amount of money to on his immigration fees and fines, penalties, and all the paperwork involved, and anything else on top of that, including the court penalty for pleading guilty to 5 counts of cybercrime. That goes on there too, in their memories and thoughts and paperwork and all that. That's all on his record. So they kind of have him at the bottom of the stack somewhere. They're working more on pogo cases and stuff like that. By the way, you got to check. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just want to check. I don't want to touch anything on the screen here. Now, we're not live, right? This is just a recording.
No, we are not live. All of this will be just a recording, and I would call this episode 2. And I think we'll just continue with all these different topics. We have a question here because he was on a live stream in the chat just a couple of days ago, probably a week ago. I think it was on Big Kev's live stream. I'm not 100% sure, but I have seen the screenshots. Others must have seen it too. And he mentioned that there is a guy in here. That's what he said. There's a guy in here, an Indian guy, and he has been in here for 11 years for overstaying. These were his words. And I'm sure that others must have seen it too. I'll ask around and see if I can get a hold of that screenshot. So I think what you are saying is true, but who really knows, because I think everything is extremely slow. Everything seems to be very dysfunctional and not organized. And that's a huge disadvantage for Barry. In the same time, I must mention that it seems to me that we reached an almost absurd level when it comes to that complaint of Shah. and I understand that you are very careful when it comes to to talk about this issue. But you remember that we have spoken about this in private, where I mentioned and asked you several times, what the fuck is taking them so long to come up with the fucking decision? Because all the facts are there. They, they have all the info that they need to come up with a decision, right? And so I think the community thinks the same about this. Everybody somehow expects that they will come up with a decision, right? But who really knows? What are your thoughts about that? And again, I understand if you feel uncomfortable to talk about legal details whatsoever, then just skip and move to the next topic. Frank, can you hear me? 1 2 1 2. So
Hello.
yeah, hello. Did you
Hello.
yeah? Do you hear me,
Hello.
Frank? Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, yeah. Did you get my last question about Shah's complaint? I was just
Yeah.
telling our listeners, why did they not decide already on the facts, on the case? What's taking them so long?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's like this. On one hand, they're saying, well, we got a complaint against you, and a proper protocol is to put a hold on you until we get this situation straightened out. But at the same time, they don't want to get it straightened out. They're the ones that have to make the resolution. In other words, last March was the ending of my visa because we managed to get an extension, and it ended in last March. Okay. They allowed me. Okay. So that was unusual right there. But the way it works is like this. On one hand, they're saying, well, we can't release you into, allowing you, it's all administrative. So that's something I did. I'm not holding back, like I'm not wanting to pay. It's one of these things where they got this sword over my head, a sharp sword. What they're saying one thing and doing the other. For example, they got a hold on me, right? But unless they do a resolution, they can't release the hold, and they can't, allow me to pay my visa penalties and all that stuff, which is all administrative. It's not like Barry. Barry purposely hasn't paid his fees and penalties, all that stuff. So you can't do one thing without the other. Okay, so without a resolution, they can't, release my visa and say, okay, you can now go and pay it, pay your penalties and fines. It's ridiculous. Because one thing is adverse to the other, if you know what I mean. Trying to be eloquent about this as much as I can. But the best way to say it is that unless they come up with a resolution, they're not going to release the hold. Okay, and unless they release the hold, I can't renew my visas. It just goes on in perpetuity, it seems. Just like Barry's situation where he is not getting out of jail, he could very well be in there for 11 years, okay? Because, and you can't really hold somebody in, I guess the word has been perpetual incarceration, perpetuity. Legally, you can't do that, but they could, as long as something is not resolved. So in other words, Barry, if he thinks he's having a bad time now and he's been in there long enough, he doesn't know what he got himself into because, it's almost like he doesn't exist in the system. He disappeared in the system. And the reason so is because he got himself so deep into it, so deep into shit, and not cooperating with every single agency out there that pertains to his situation, has not been cooperative. He's basically keeping himself in that grave for, years to come. because he's not been very cooperative. Now, the way immigration sees it with him, he has not approached them in any form or way with any money and said, hey, look, you got the summary deportation. I just want to go home. Okay, well, if he came up to them and said, well, which you don't have, here's, give me a figure. Give me a figure on the how much do I owe in my regular visa fees plus the fines and penalties and any other paperwork. And there's other money actually involved with that too. Might even involve an extra 25,000 pesos for something I forgot what it is. But so on top of all that, on top of the court, he pleaded guilty, and he owes the court, which is more important than me, in the way the court works, that they owes the court system, 250,000, $250,000 pesos. If he can't take care of all of the above,
I just lost you there, Frank. I just got disconnected. Let's just wait until Frank gets back. He was talking. Yeah, here we go. Please go ahead.
it basically comes down to the fact that Barry hasn't satisfied all the things he's required to do. Okay. He probably owes $750,000 in penalties and fines and fees and other things that might be incorporated into that. There's other stuff too, I'm sure. Not to mention the court, what he owes to court because he pleaded guilty on 5 counts of cyber libel. Okay. With that being said, nevertheless owing me $250,000 pesos, which I know I'll never see. But they take more precedence on what he owes the judge, what he owes the court, than what they owe me. They're going to look at that as being more of a civil matter between me and him. But he'll always owe me that, though. That's the whole thing. He will always owe me that, even if he's not required to pay me that, because the penalties to the court is deemed to be more important. And really, it's more of a civil issue. Now, speaking of civil issues in regards to his girlfriend, I got to continue this. Now, a lot more people there are not siding with her anymore because they're catching her in more lies. Just like she's going along with Barry saying that. Did you see the last thing she quoted in there? That I miss him but I'm glad he's home and all that stuff. And she's lying for him again. People are not really siding with her anymore.
Yeah.
They're seeing what she's really all about, that they know her complaint was an out-and-out lie. They know that. They realize that. They don't want to admit it because some people don't like me. But they know she's in the wrong. She knows she's in the wrong. She came too far to turn around and say, okay, I'm going to go with Frank said. Good suggestion, man. Go to your lawyer's office, going to sign an affidavit saying that, hey, I'm sorry about this, but, he is my boyfriend, and we have a future. And I guess I acted too quickly on making a complaint against him, and I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. And I gave her an opportunity on that hey, I could even have it on paper.
Have you ever spoken to her directly? Have you ever spoken to her legal representative? Any of that? I will just wait until you get back because it seems that there is a technical problem again.
Okay, we back?
Yeah, we are back.
Hold on. Okay, it's going to happen on and off. I guess we're going to have to deal with that. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what's
it's not
going
a
on.
big
You hear
deal.
me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. It's not a big deal. We just keep going.
Okay. Entering the studio. Yeah, okay. I think with that situation, people caught her in her lies and they're not respecting her for that at all. She had an opportunity matter with me. No, I've never talked to her personally. I wouldn't do that because, she'll try to hold that against me that I'm trying to stalk her or some bullshit. Or everybody knows she's not telling the truth and all that, but she got herself so deep into this shit. And she's also getting forced by other people, no names mentioned, to continue, other than her boyfriend coercing her to do this and pressuring her. Because, he didn't want me to get away with the fact that he's in jail. But the fact is he put himself there. I just, basically filed a case against him, against something that he did. It's not like he never did anything. And he's there because he should be there. He pleaded guilty, for God's sakes. I mean, he pleaded guilty. Did I tell him to plead guilty? No. He came up on his own accord, his own will, without a gun to his head, and he pleaded guilty to 5 counts of cyber.
But you know why? You know why he did that, right? You know why he did that, right?
Yeah, I know why. Yeah, because he thought he was going to be able to go home right
Yeah,
after that.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
it
He has
didn't
a, he
work
has a
out that
very
way.
strange view about what's happening around him, and he trusts the wrong people.
See, we
He,
knew that, though. See, me and my attorneys, we knew that. We knew. I wasn't going to say it on there, but yeah, go ahead, plead guilty. We knew it was going to happen. See, the reason I allowed that to happen, it's really simple. Because this would have dragged out for a long time. It would have cost me more money in the courts, all that crap, and this would have. And we don't know what the judge would have said, and how much longer, another year or more, I don't know. And it would be up to the judge. What if the judge says nothing? I'm not going to give him no time. I'm not going to do nothing. Well, we already knew that. We were ahead of the game. We already knew that. My lawyer asked me bluntly, "You want to continue this, or you want to just let Barry just go ahead and plead guilty, and we'll end it right there?" I said, "Well, let me think about this." And he kind of went over with me what would happen as a result of that. So we already knew we were going to go on with that. We had the prior knowledge of that. It was discussed with me. In fact, I was live with my lawyer on the phone at the time when actually we were talking to, who were we talking to? I forgot. It was on the line with us, but I said right there, let's just do this. Barry's going to plead guilty. Let him plead guilty, because we knew what was going to happen. He thought that that's going to be it. He's going to be on his way home, but I don't know where he got those thoughts in his head and who was feeding him that false information. But we knew that. And I said, no, this is cool, because I don't know what the judge is going to say. I could have continued with the case, but it would cost me more money and time and aggravation. I said to the lawyer, let's, like he said to me, let's just get this over with. Barry's not going to get out of this. He gives him all that money. And you don't know what the judge is going to say at the end. The judge is to say, slap a small fine on his hand, and he comes back, he stays in the Philippines. But we knew that. We knew that that was the way to go. Let Barry, he was guilty, so let him plead guilty. Nobody put gun to his head. He did it on his own accord. So we agreed on it, perfectly knowing what the results were going to be. We knew what the results were going to be. That's exactly how it turned out. He thought he was going to get free, home free, and all this crap, and he fooled himself. And it worked out perfectly for me, because I didn't have to do anything, and I'm not responsible for him pleading guilty. That's something he did on his own, by his own accord, his own wants, and whatever he thought. I wasn't going to fill him in the blanks. I wasn't going to fill him in on the blanks as to what would happen, but I let him do what he had to do. We knew he was going to plead guilty, and he did. And that was it. So now he's paying the consequences of that. Unfortunately for him, oh boy, the way the system is going, that one person was right when they were saying, or Popeye was saying something, that he's going to be in there for a long time. And that other person, the Indian guy, who spent 11 years in there on an overstay, yeah, that's quite possible. And
well,
Barry's just got
The
buried in the system.
Philippines justice system, or the Philippines correctional system, is a tough fucking place to be in, to tell you the truth.
And
But
I don't plan to be,
since
I don't plan to be in it,
none of us does. But since you brought up the expenses, this has also been one of the main talking points in the community. And if you don't mind, I would like to talk about that for a second. You said that if you would have filed more cases on him, and I'm absolutely convinced that you have the material to do so, the evidence to do so, it would have cost you more money. Is this something you
Yeah.
would like to talk about for a second? Because people think that this has cost you a lot of money. Would you like to talk a little bit about the expenses? And I ask you this.
I don't have an exact figure. It's not as much as people think it is. They may think it's a lot of money, but I think it's somewhere up about 400K, which, considering all the time and effort, that's not really that much money. 400,000 is peanuts, and considering what lawyers charge and paperwork and all that, I think it's up around 400K, which is
400,000,
actually a good deal.
400,000 400,000 pesos. Okay, yeah, that's it. It's always important to give the people some sort of what you guys refer to as a
Yeah. It hasn't been wrong.
ballpark
It
number.
hasn't been wrong.
Yeah. The
Yeah, it
reason
hasn't been wrong.
the reason why I mention this is this, and I have spoken about that in private and also on live streams and in many chats and discussions I had with people who are actually rather more I would call them pro Barry Lee Jordan, because they mentioned a lot of times Barry won because he inflicted a financial loss to Frank. That's what they say. And then I always answer
Well,
them.
how do
Answer
you
them. Hang on a second.
balance that?
I always tell them, listen, Frank decided to use his money for whatever purpose or however he sees fit. So when Frank decided to spend 400K, that's his decision. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Let me be very honest about this, because if I, and I mean that, if I could spend 400K and the result would be that I would put somebody behind bars, let me tell you, I would do it right away. If I could destroy someone's life, a piece of shit like this guy, I would absolutely do it. Because there are people out there, they spend 400K on the fucking Rolex, on a watch, or on a computer setup, or on a scooter, or whatever else, right? And you decided to spend it to put that guy behind bars. And I believe it gives you some sort of fucking satisfaction, because I know it would give
Oh
me
my.
a fucking feeling of satisfaction. And
Well,
I
okay, how do you
know that
put a
I'm
price?
speaking on behalf of many of our guys that feel exactly the same. 400K is absolutely nothing. So if the crowd out there, the Bama crowd, thinks that, okay, Bama inflicted some sort of financial loss or pain on Frank. I mean, guys, just keep an open mind about this. This man here decided to spend that amount of money because he felt that's worth it. That's the factor. Because I think if you wouldn't be able to pay that amount, or if that amount would be too big for you, you would just say, you know what, fuck it, I walk away from this. But I think you did not,
No.
because you thought and felt, I'm going to teach this motherfucker a lesson. And boy, did you fucking destroy that guy. And let me tell you, that's the part where I say, I, all of the winter, admire you for that. And I know that there are a lot of people out there, even some of the big vloggers who don't want to be named on here, they feel exactly the same about this. And that's the fucking
Yeah, they
truth.
do.
If I would be
Well, look at it
able
this way.
to spend this amount of money to put certain people in this community behind bars, I would do it right away. I would be on my fucking way to the next fucking P&P police station or NBI or whatever. That's what I would do. And I know we are not the only ones out here who feel exactly the same. But please tell me, how do you think or feel about that? Because that's exactly what I always tell them. It cost him a lot of money. Frankie's losing a lot of money. And they said, wait a second. The guy wants to spend that money, his money, to put that guy behind bars, to make that man's life miserable. And I think that's money well spent. What do you feel and think about this?
Well, okay, let me answer that. 400K, and I just approximate that. That's nothing compared to 3 years of being incarcerated. How do you put a price on that? I mean, I got a bargain on this. I got this piece of scum off the street, which people should be thanking me, not attacking me for.
You're
I
right
did
about that.
something that nobody on here could
Amen.
or
Amen.
should have. So how do you put a price? How do you put a price on? Well, look at it this way: 400K on a lawyer. Well, look what the fuck he owes on his immigration. Look what he owes on his penalties and fees. And look what's going to happen to him if he's still collecting disability. It's illegal. He's going to go to jail for that too when he gets back to America, because I don't think the U.S. Embassy has reported it to Social Security. I've read something on that sometimes it falls between the cracks, where the state, call it the state here, is supposed to inform the embassy in regards to his incarceration, which they know, of course, but it's the embassy's job to contact Social Security, because you cannot be collecting Social Security disability if you've been incarcerated for more than, I forgot how long they say, it's not very long. You're off. And if he's still collecting his money, his troubles are just starting out. Nevertheless, the child support that he owes in America, they're going to get him for that. So even if he was able to go back to America,
And I believe he
gonna
has pending arrest warrants back in the U.S.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah.
He has a very checkered past, and but I think him and his girlfriend belong together because they're both liars. I could say that publicly because they are. He's not back in America, makes her a liar. She said, I'm single again. A couple of months ago, she has come out with she wasn't single. And we got all her stuff out there where she's saying all the lovey-dovey things to him and she misses him and all this other stuff. They're in a committed relationship. Well, her complaint, she's been lying along with Barry the whole time. So people can't trust her, okay? And as much as they don't trust Barry, she's very devoted to Barry. And that, of course, is a key question we've been talking about earlier in part one. Why is she so devoted to him? Does his schlong that wonderful that someone's going to go out of their way to be devoted to him because he's got a big schlong, as he claims that he has? That can't be a reason alone to be with somebody who's a loser like him. He has to have half the brain. He may have a bigger dick than his brain is, and that may be pleasurable to a woman to a certain degree, but you need more elements than that to keep a relationship, A guy with a small dick could probably please a woman a lot better than somebody with an extra big fucking schlong. I mean, it's according how you look at it. But if you don't know how to use it, you're just abusing it, And, I don't care about his fucking anaconda that he calls it, Whatever. Some chicks may like that. I'm not saying that's, disclaimer. I'm not saying that's it. I don't need a disclaimer for that. Fuck that shit. So he's a big dick. Is that a reason she's with him? I don't know. Whatever, could be a contributing factor. I don't know.
I think
Could it be
I
'cause
think
she
Bobby
feels
would
that's
laugh
the-
that. I think Bobby would laugh that. Shout out to Bobby.
Yeah,
Let me ask you something else here, real quick.
Yeah.
How does Gilda feel about all of this? The complaint, the whole fucking YouTube drama,
Oh,
the whole
God.
immigration issue. How does she feel
Well,
about
it's
that?
not been easy. It's not been easy on her either. That's why I'm upset about this complaint, because what Shaw is doing is entirely wrong. It's so wrong, no matter how you look at it, even if she's trying to defend her boyfriend. What she's doing is this seemingly a very religious person that I'm gathering is very wrong. And if you're not religious and you believe in God or whatever you believe in, then you're basically, you're not going with your beliefs and you're not adhering to your beliefs and all that goes along with it. I mean, that's a sin in itself, because you're lying to the people. And how does Gilda feel about this? She's sick of the whole fucking YouTube shit. It's caused nothing but grief, paperwork, money. She hates YouTube, and she only, I can't say allowed. She's not my keeper, but let's just use the word for the hell of it, allowed me to go on here because she knows that it helped me kill some time. It's like a hobby. I like to vent. I like to talk about different events. And she realizes that too. Because she knows that it's caused nothing but problems all the way around. Nevertheless, money we can use for something else, good vacations, out of the country, whatever. There's a lot of places that money could have went better than spending it on Barry or dealing with her complaint. The bad thing about this is that she doesn't understand that proverbial can of worms I speak about a lot has been opened and it cannot be shut. They could turn around and they could put, if the immigration decides that, no, we're not going to, we're going to quash this. We just don't have the prima facie to go along with this. In other words, evidence, cold hard evidence to warrant a deportation, to warrant this complaint. So if they find her in contempt, perjuring herself, she could get in a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of trouble, because there's other things combined: harboring, aiding, and abetting Barry. She knew damn well that, he was hiding from immigration. There wasn't much that Barry. Well, the only thing Barry would hold information from her is basically how he took advantage of other women and stuff. He was never going to really admit that, because that wouldn't look good between him and her. But I think he's very open with her about other things. I think he has his weak moments. I think he's told her a lot of personal stuff about himself and his father and all that went on in his family. I think he's opened up to her. He's capable of doing that. But the one thing he will not do is talk about, what he's done with women and who he really owed money to. And I find it so hard to believe that she falls for this shit. It's just like the last girlfriend too, who heard all the shows about Barry. She heard what he said on YouTube. And do you think to yourself, what kind of a person wants to go with a man like that, who could be that brutal, that dishonest, that disgraceful, that, much of a petty thief, to take people's money? And even he admitted it himself. I only want a girl who go with a girl who has a job or makes money or has a business, because, he wants them to support her. And you mean to tell me these women can't see through that? How could they not see through that? And they still want them? And now, knowing in her particular case that this could work against her, if I was in her position, I wasn't even involved with this shit. If I was her and in a situation like this, man, I would run, not walk, to the guy's fucking lawyer and say, hey, look, I'm going to just quash this complaint. I did it out of the love I have for my boyfriend. You know how it is, love somebody, you don't want to see them incarcerated. I only did that out of, I don't know what you want to call it, respect for her boyfriend and not wanting him in jail. Any smart woman would have done that, especially when in my case, I've offered to say that, hey, there will be no charges against you as a result of that. It'll be in writing. She should have taken advantage of that. I gave her 3 opportunities or more to do this, and she didn't do it. She's not thinking clearly, or she's just being pushed by her boyfriend and some of the high roaders to stay in on this and don't give up the ship. So I asked that question. Do you like to gamble? I would ask her. And I even said that. Do you feel lucky? How lucky do you feel? Do you feel lucky? How lucky do you fucking feel? Are you willing to take that chance? Because people are pressuring you. They're not going to come to your fucking help. When you go down, they're going to run the other fucking way like rats off a burning ship. Ship of fools. They're going to all jump off that fucking burning ship. They don't want to be part of a losing team or say that they were connected to it. And there's a lot of people that are connected to this that don't want to be known as being connected. Okay? They will not come out in the open and say, I've helped her out financially to get a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Are they giving her money to hold off on this? I don't know. So legally, disclaimer, I'm not going to say that. Although I could mention it, that there's always that possibility. Keep it legal, which I am. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I told you, I could speculate for hours and not really know the answer.
Well,
but I do know one thing.
She definitely is Team Bama's best bet in all of this, in this fucking game, Frank versus Bama, because you won everything already, So they wanna get even with you. This is all about revenge. Can you imagine if the Bureau of Immigration dismisses this, because nobody out there actually thinks that you will not be deported. Everybody says Frank is going to get deported. Frank is going to get arrested. Frank will end up in Bikutan, blah blah
heard
blah.
that for
And you
years.
know, let me tell you this. My position, my thought is that that's not absolutely not certain. I think that you will not be incarcerated and you will not get arrested because this is something that the Bureau of Immigration decided that they are
Yes.
looking into this. So there's really no
Yes.
reason to arrest you. There's also no reason to declare you
Well, they can't have reason to arrest me
illegal
because they know I'm not
alien or
going
something
anywhere.
like
I
that.
cannot
Yeah.
leave the country.
Yeah, because
I
it's
cannot
because
be.
it's because they put you in that status. You know
Right,
what I'm
right.
saying? Because you
Well, I
offered, and
can't leave the country. I'm not a flight risk.
yeah, but I have seen the
Can you hear
documents. You
me?
have showed me these documents, and it states there that you basically offered them to renew your visa, and they are the ones who turned that down because they didn't come up with a decision yet regarding that complaint.
Right.
And so I
Right.
don't
Right.
understand where all these experts get their information from because I think it's just fucking wishful thinking. I understand that they want to see you fucking decapitated. I understand they
Oh,
want to
yeah.
see you getting fucking arrested. I have heard all that shit for 3 years now. I have heard
Oh,
all this
absolutely.
shit, all because there's a guy out there and he knows who he is, and he has a lot of supporters in this community. He basically said, if you would know what we know, if you would have access to the documents we have, and if you would know who is behind this, you would shit your pants. I mean, they were talking about like senators, and this was forwarded by that rich guy, World Zoom or something like that, who was with Barry in the guards in the detention center. You know, there were like rumors that he contacted some U.S. senator's office or some fucking U.S. congressman, and they thought that Barry would get some big shot fucking help from the State Department and will get out of the Philippines. You know, that was all fucking BS. And then they said Frank is going to get arrested. We have boots on the ground. Somebody will take footage of it. That's going to happen next Monday. This fucking next Monday. And that was like fucking 2.5 years ago, right? And
Yeah,
that's why
right.
it was like, and they were just
Yeah.
announcing big news is coming. Big news is coming. It's next week. Maybe it's the week
Well, you know
after
what? It must
next
be
week. You know
coming
what?
on a.
It was
It must be
it's
coming on a
fucking ridiculous. It's fucking
Conestoga
ridiculous.
wagon.
Now think about this. The whole fucking community comes after you, wants to fucking kill you, wants to see you deported, and then and imagine the unthinkable. The Bureau of Immigration dismisses the fucking complaint and renews your fucking visa. And if that day comes, and I want to be on record here, if that fucking day comes, I want you to take one fucking victory lap after another. One fucking victory lap after another. And I hope you would grant me the first victory interview with the Lion of Bantayan, because you are getting a lot of support among our guys now, because people tell me, some of them at least say, you know what, Frank stood there and fought back, and he defeated every fucking enemy, every single one of them. And so this is actually the last big battle. This is the last big battle, Frank versus Batman. That's the only reason why I'm still on this fucking platform. Because I want to know how this fucking saga ends. It's the biggest fucking saga. Forget about the whole Johnny Warrior days. Forget about the Shill and Bama's best days when he was at the peak of his YouTube career. It comes down to this. This is the one big battle. This is the fucking epic war. And if you win this, Frank, and you actually cannot lose this anymore, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be a draw. Because they think that when you get kicked out, I think that you could come back in within a reasonable
Yeah, let's get
time.
around to that.
Time.
Let's
I don't.
let's hold on. let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know the future. I'll deal with anything like I've dealt with anything in the past. That's it. I live
But,
my
but
life day by day. Do
all
this.
I'm trying to say here is it wouldn't be the end.
I
Of
know
course,
what you're saying.
the other side would try to sell this as a victory. This is not a victory. You cannot look at this as a victory. You kick the other guy out when he manages to kick you out of the country. You're just basically it's a draw. It's even. But still, the guy's still in jail. You took 3 years away from him. He's never going to achieve that. And I think the chances that you will be able to get back in are not slim. They are real. They are there. And I think you would
Well,
and,
here's
and
what I'd say
there's
to
really
that.
there's
I'll
still a
answer
real
that one.
chance, Frank.
Let
There's
me
still
let me
real
get let me
hang on
let
a
me
second.
get into
There's
that.
there's still a real chance, and this is not wishful thinking. After such a long time, they might just say, you know what, we didn't come to a decision. We can't put this guy, Frank Battaglia, on hold for the rest of his fucking life. Give him his fucking
Okay, okay.
visa, renew his visa.
No, number
That might
one,
happen.
well, number one, they're breaking their own laws because this is not supposed to have taken this long on a resolution. They've already, even though I'm not a Philippine citizen here, Filipino, it doesn't matter that we still have certain rights out here. Believe it or not, we actually do. And my rights are not being represented properly in regards to immigration. They should have came to this decision on this a long time ago. It's not a criminal case. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't rape anybody. I didn't go around and out with signs in the streets saying I hate Philippines, I hate Filipinos. I didn't go to a crowd of a rally, a political rally or something like that. This had to do with a disgruntled woman who was sticking up for her boyfriend and decided, with the help from her friends with a deep pocket, decided to get a lawyer, and they pushed her into doing this. I'm sure she had help on this. There's no way she could afford a lawyer on her own or would be willing to do so. But then you ask, well, where's her family? Why did they help her out? Where's his family? How come nobody wants to help him out? Bottom line, they don't want to help him out. Nobody wants to help him out. So, yeah, he's in jail a long time. He's going to be in there longer. And I want to also mention something else, too. Barry says, oh, yeah, I can't wait until he comes in here. Well, let me answer that. I answered it before. No, I guarantee you, Barry in detention with him, because I know a lot about Barry that his little inmates don't know, because I could turn the tide around. And Barry don't want me in there, believe me, because when I tell the stories, and what he said about the Chinese, what he said about the Filipinos, what he said about the country, what he said about the Muslims and everything else, believe me, you think I'm a good talker? Well, let me tell you something. If I was in there, there's not one person, even the guards, that ain't going to know about what this guy is really like. Believe me when I tell you, he don't want me in there in his detention block anywhere, because he knows he could talk the tough talk, but he knows I'm a person with a mission. He knows that I'm not going to sit back and take punishment. He figures, I know what happened. He went around and told every inmate, yeah, this guy, I'm waiting for him to come in. He's a child predator. Oh, yeah, there's nobody likes child predators. He's going to convince them I'm a child predator and prep them up to be on his side for when I come in there. That's exactly what he'll do. But if I was in there, believe me, they're going to know so much about this guy that the tide's going to turn, and he's going to be in the corner like a little fucking mouse hiding from the rest of the inmates in there. Believe me. If I was ever in that position, hopefully it doesn't ever come down to that, I'll make do. But I will tell you that he would be in a worse position that he's ever been in. He's going to want to be transferred to another facility. I have no doubt about it. Because if you know anything about me at all or figured it out, if you think I'm going to let something like this go by, there's no way in the world. I'm not done punishing that bastard yet. I know what he's trying to do. I know why he wants me in there, because he's figured he's trying to get my ass not beat up by him, but convince other people that, just for example, say you're a real child predator. A real child predator, and you go to jail for that, right? Oh, yeah, you're going to get yourself killed or something or beat the shit up. He figures he could tell them, oh, yeah, a real child predator, convicted. Oh, convicted, too. Add that one in there, icing on the cake, right? To try to get me get my ass beat up because he knows he couldn't beat my ass with a fucking if he even tried, no matter the 20-year difference or not. Barry would not want me anywhere in his detention center because people will know about him and it'll make his existence there a lot more intolerable.
And it's also absurd to think that you would end up in a detention center because their logic basically is Frank Battaglia is now in the Philippines. He doesn't have a visa, so he's there illegally, and therefore he's
I'm not a flight
overstaying
risk.
his
I'm
is
not a
he's
flight risk.
overstaying his
They know
visa,
where
blah
I
blah blah.
am.
That's absolutely absurd. I mean, you could still just self-deport if that time comes because you do not owe them any money and you do not have any pending criminal cases. At the end of the day, it's just it's just wishful thinking. And now that you mentioned this, I remember that Bama mentioned that um, the U.S. Embassy, yeah, here we go. He mentioned, again, this was one of the last Big Kev live streams, I believe he mentioned in the chat, that the U.S. Embassy is going after them. And I think them refers to the Bureau of Immigration or something like that. This is delusional. The U.S. Embassy doesn't give a shit about people like Barry Lee Jordan.
No, they don't.
Nobody is doing anything for him. He wants to make it look like as if he is in the driver's seat, that people are getting held accountable for whatever it is, and that he is a powerful guy who has his rights and stuff like that. No, if somebody at the jail would put the bullet in his fucking head, they wouldn't give a shit about that. And it happens all the time. Nobody would
Yeah, it
care.
does.
It's a horrible place where he's at, and he basically has no fucking rights in there. When he talks about they are helping me out, somebody came over. No, they are not. Where are all his fucking friends and his supporters? The guys who send him money, hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars, they're all gone. They're not there anymore. I think
There's no support system at all.
there's no support system at all. There's absolutely no support system at all. And I believe that they used Barry to look good in the community. It's basically, look, I'm the generous, I'm the wise. Barry deserves a second chance. Barry
No,
just
really, he
made
doesn't deserve any chance at all.
Barry made a
All the
mistake.
shit that
Blah
that
blah
guy's
blah.
done.
You remember that, right? I mean, some of them even visited him in that fucking detention center, celebrated with him, and now where
Yep.
are they? They're all gone because they
They're
know
all gone.
this is
They're
not
all
going
gone.
to be a quick victory. That's what they hoped for. They thought it can't be that bad. It can't be this much of a big deal. This can't be a big deal at all. He just said a few things on the internet. That's it. He just said a few things on the internet. He shouldn't be in there. And now he's in there for 3 long years, and it doesn't look like that he's going to get out of that fucking jail anytime soon. Think about that. 3 fucking years of your life just gone. Nada. Gone. And I think that's a fucking victory.
You gotta
That's a
look at it
fucking
also this way
victory.
too. I've been dealing with this for 3 years, which is not a great thing for me either. So, and so is Gilda. And a lot of people think they could get away with just about everything they say, but there's nothing wrong with my long-term memory. There's nothing wrong with my notes. There's nothing wrong with my videos. I've got all that information. What Barry don't understand, he should be grateful, and I'll tell you why he should be grateful. Because we had a second case all set up for him. That was the death threats, and boy, did I have evidence on that. Up to Iliac, whatever. I mean, that was he was spared that because he would have been convicted for sure on that alone. Okay.
Do you have like USB sticks where it says Barry death threats?
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Fuck
Oh,
yeah!
Fantastic. Yeah.
I got everything on every character, every player on
Okay.
here. That includes Jay. That includes Nico. It includes Popeye. Includes Big E. Includes all these people that have talked not only about me but about my Filipina. I got all that on there. She could have a case against these people if she wants. Okay. Forget about Popeye. The only way to deal with Popeye is, I get deported. Who says I can't go to Florida and show up at his fucking door? I could do whatever I want if I'm back in the States, right? So Popeye takes this brave stance. He goes, I can say anything about you I want. He goes, his quote, there's not a goddamn thing you could do about it. Well, what I said to that many times, don't hold your breath on that one. Don't say there's not a goddamn thing. We're still both U.S. citizens. Remember that.
Popeye is just trying to get under your fucking skin. You know, that's what he does. I mean,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, people talk the talk on here, but they don't walk the walk. And I'm the only person on here that has actually walked the walk. Now, the high roaders, you know, they're more concentrated on helping the poor Fraulein, you know, the poor girl. Nobody. But I tell you what, if the shoe was on the other foot, where would they be on this? Now, people like the high roaders say, but they never like to mention his cyber libel. I'll say the names. Big E says it all the time. Barry should be out of jail. Oh, he said a few bad words that Frank didn't like. Okay, well, the only reason Barry's in jail is because, Mr. Netflix there says, because that he overstayed, and he likes to overlook the point that he.
We were cutting out there for a second, and I would just continue. We were talking about the comparison of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. You're back.
No, I'm saying that Big E, I'll mention Big E's name when he talks about Barry's situation, that Barry shouldn't be in there. It's only because of his immigration. He should have only been in there a few days and then deported or something. But he doesn't want to bring up the fact that Barry pleaded guilty to 5 fucking cyber libel crimes and charges. You know, he doesn't want to mention that at all. It's like, oh, the only reason Barry's in there is because of his immigration overstay. When we all know better than that, it's a combination of elements in there.
It's a combination. It indeed is a combination of elements and different factors. And I think it's very important to state the fact that at the very beginning of this saga, Frank versus Bama, they didn't even want to give you that victory. That they didn't even want to say Frank put him behind bars. He did it to himself. That's what they said, right? He just overstayed, blah blah blah. That's not exactly true, because if he would have only overstayed, he could have paid the fine. He would get kicked out. That's it. But because of the pending court case, it complicated everything. And now everybody sees, okay, Frank actually put Bama behind bars, but it's not right. It's very cruel. That's how the story changed. First, it was like it's not even jail. It's just a detention center. He has it good in there. That's what they said, right? It's not that much of a. It's not a big deal, right? That's what they said. And then when he started to fucking cry about it, they realized, okay, maybe it's not so nice in there. Maybe Frank indeed did score a victory here.
Well, you know, I don't try to look at it as a victory. It's not a war of attrition or anything like that. I mean, he did what he did, and you could give me credit for it, but, you know, he basically supplied all the ammunition and all the evidence I needed. You know, I mean, he put himself in that position. So you want to make me the bad guy with the black hat, but it's not really true.
You should wear it as a badge of honor. In this community, hang on a second, in this community, when people think you're an asshole, that's a good thing. In this community, in a community of fucking scumbag, low-life sexual predators, you want to be hated. Else you're doing something wrong. You don't want to be liked by people like Ricky, Brevis and all these other fucking creeps out there. You don't want to be liked by people like that. So that's a good thing.
Well, I think they're jealous, and the fact that I'm the
Gave
only
you
one that
credit
could
for
pull
that.
this
That's
off.
that.
I'm the only one.
Let me be clear about that. And then the other thing, one last sentence here. There is something that they often mention, that I think somebody also mentioned it on the last vlog in the comments. They said putting Barry behind bars is like going after the retard, like going after low hanging fruit. I think that's what they said. No, it's not. No, it's absolutely not, because that just shows that they do not know anything about the Philippine legal system. In this country, it's extremely hard to get the system do something for you. It's absolutely dysfunctional. There are a lot of delays. Look at, you guys out there have Google it. You will see that the jail system is clogged, the justice system, the courts are clogged with all kinds of cases. It's absolutely dysfunctional. It's one of the worst places on planet Earth. And for somebody, no matter what it is, to get that system do something for you is a fucking victory in itself, because that's something. That's something. And Frank Battaglia here, hang on a second, I need to put that out there. Frank Battaglia here did something. He put time and effort into this to put another guy behind bars, rightfully so. It's good that that other guy is off the streets, because I think he did something where people should thank him for, because that other guy has become a nuisance, a disturbance for the people in this country, by taking advantage of the women, by treating them bad. And I know you don't want to hear that, but when Bama was losing his fucking temper in the detention center, you might have forgotten the things he said about the Filipino people and the women and all the racist shit that he put out there. But they point at you, Frank, and say, it's Frank Battaglia who is treating Shah bad, meaning he's a racist. He's a bad guy because he's talking bad about Shah, as if Shah represents all the females in the Philippines. Shah is a fucking scumbag piece of shit. She is helping a guy to go after this guy here. And look, we give you credit for that, because our guys say, at least Frank is taking good care of his fucking woman. That's what he does. And since when did that become equal to being a simp? Equal being to being some sort of lowlife or naive idiot? There was a time when people said, look, when I take good care of my women, that's something to be proud of. It's the decent thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But they mocked you for it. They bashed you for it. They ridiculed you for it. They even went after Gilda. And look, I went after Gilda myself. I'm not a saint. I did horrible things. I said horrible things about all kinds of people. But I never mocked her just for the lone fact that she is a Filipina. Because for a lot of these guys, they make this statement that because she is a Filipina, she's a bar girl, she's a hooker, she has like 8 kids, blah blah blah, and then they move on and say, oh look, but it's Frank who is the racist, it's Frank who is the bigot, it's Frank who is talking bad about the Philippines. It makes absolutely no sense. But they look the other way when their guy, Bama, is bashing the Philippines, the Filipinos. I'm not going to repeat what he said. Everybody heard it. You had no problems with that, but Frank is the racist. Frank is the bad guy because he invested in a house. He's taking good care of Gilda. Hell, maybe he's also even taking good care of the kids. Who cares? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. These people out there, they admire people like Bama. They admire people like Jay the Real Deal, who abandon their kids, who walk away from their responsibilities, their own fucking blood. And here is a guy who does the opposite thing. And you think that he is the bad guy? Who you mock him for being the decent guy? Really? Your turn, Frank.
Well, you said it better than I could, actually. You were right on the head. On exactly it. don't want to see somebody be happy when they have something lacking in their own life, is what it really is. And they want to find reason and rhyme to attack you because it creates drama, and that's what they live on, drama. They know a lot about me. Good points, bad points, we all have them. I'm not totally innocent of anything, but I'm also human. I've had my moments where I've gotten aggravated and I've yelled and I've said certain things to people, but you realize your mistakes and you address them, which I did. And these people can't do that. They'd rather stick behind this story because they don't want to go back on it because it makes them look bad. I don't have a problem with admitting if I was wrong about something, and if I ever called somebody a name on here. I've actually admitted it. I even gave apologies. I will not give any more. That's not going to happen. It may not happen anyway because, I don't think I have a future on YouTube. I don't think I'm going to try to get back on again. I just don't feel it. Yes, I'm a person that has a lot to say. I've been doing this for a long time. I got some enjoyment out of it, but just not enough to have to deal with all this nonsense. And especially if I get cleared on these complaint, they're going to be more pissed off than ever. They're not going to be happy with that, and they're going to go into a fucking frenzy.
See, look, yeah, absolutely, you're right about that. Listen, look, people might say, look, Alo, you're a fucking hypocrite, you're a liar, you're a turncoat. I bashed you, Frank, because it is fun to bash people, okay? There's nothing in it for me. I don't have an agenda other than creating fucking drama. I said bad things. Hang on a second, Frank. I said bad things about you because we came on here and said, how are we going to bash Frank? Let's look at his family background. Let's look at his financial background. Let's look at his house. Maybe let's look at his relationship with his daughter. Let's find something there, and then we will turn it into a fucking hate show, and that's what I do, right? And I enjoy that. I like it. But other than that, believe me or not, there's nothing. It's not that I like you or dislike you, but for these other guys. And that's the reason why I thought, look, you know what? I'm going to change. I changed my mind about this because I admit that. I changed my mind about this because I realized it's not about talking bad about the women. It's not about that. Because when their guy does it, it's okay. When you do it, it becomes a problem. And then I digged a little bit deeper, and then I realized it's not about the issues anymore. It's about who says what, when, and if I like that guy, I'm going to look the other way, and if I don't like that guy, I'm going to point it out and make it a big deal. And that's what's happening in this community right now. People don't hate you because you talk bad about Shah and so on and so forth. It's not about that. They just don't like you, and then they don't like you because you blocked them maybe. Maybe you came off as an arrogant fucking prick. You said something bad to them about their family. Maybe you threatened them. So fucking what? Right? That's the real reason why they jumped on the bandwagon and said, we are going after Frank. And then they were trying to find the reason to just bash you. That's all there is to it. Because they are fucking butthurt. And I could be the same. I could say, look, Frank said these things about me, and so what? I'm not butthurt about that. Who cares? It's YouTube. It's YouTube drama. That's it. That's all there is.
In your situation, like you said, you did not have an agenda. And that is the only reason I even talk to you and communicate with you, because I understand you better than you think I do. You never had a real, as you said, agenda. Okay, and there was nothing personal that you had against me. It's a big difference. But these people have an agenda, unlike you.
They hold the fucking grudge because they're butthurt. And they, instead of saying, I don't like Frank because he blocked me. I don't like Frank because he threatened my family. That's why I'm going after him. They come up with reasons such as, they come up with reasons such as, he threatened the Filipina. I'm a great defender of all Filipinos. And then here we see a guy, Bama, who takes advantage of them, who says racist shit about them, and it's absolutely no problem at all. And you know what they're going to say? Alo, you mentioned on this podcast here, you mentioned several times that Bama is our guy. He is not our guy. They are the same. I'm just here for the entertainment. I'm just here for the drama. Come on, guys. Just admit. Just admit you don't like this guy here, and then that's it. Move on. Be done with it. You want to see him dead? Just own your fucking shit. But don't come up with fucking lame excuses. And that's the hypocrisy behind all of this. And that's why I fucking changed my mind. Because the community goes after you, tries to fuck with you for, for really no reason at all. And then there is this copycat channel. Let's talk about that guy. I often ask myself, what did you do to that guy for him to come after you the way he is coming after you? This is a
Well,
guy.
let me answer that.
This is a guy. Hang
It
on a
has to be
second. Hang on a
somebody.
second. This is a guy who called several clinics and hospitals in the Cebu area because he wanted to get information about you. This is a guy who tried to find your house during the time when nobody knew where you were living yet on Battaglia, and when you moved into that new house. He analyzed everything. And I admired that, because that level of obsession, that's admirable, because and I realized he's putting time into this, time and effort into this. He looked at the cracks on the street. He compared it on Google Drive. I mean, you would be fucking shocked to see the level of commitment that he has put into this. And then I asked this question, and this is the important part. Why? Why does somebody create a copycat channel? Why does somebody collect all your fucking sound bites, all your videos? Why is he doing that? What's the reason behind it? And I have never found the fucking answer to that question. So you must have pissed off somebody or killed somebody's mother out there.
I know. What did I do? Did I rape their dog or something? I mean, what the fuck did I do? There is a guy out there, though, I wanted to mention. I mentioned before, not in our broadcast. There was a guy, and I don't understand who he was, that claims that I said something that caused him and his Filipino wife or whatever to break up. And I'm saying, who the fuck is that? And how could I break up some Filipino's relationship, some guy's relationship, some foreigner? And it could be this guy. But he came on one time, and I don't remember who he was, and said who he was. Hey, you did me a favor because the girl I got now is fantastic. You did me a favor. But this guy was against me, and it could be the same person. I'm just speculating. But you're saying, well,
I know who you are. I know who you are talking about, and I think it's not him. Because I think it's a guy from Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And I do not think that's the guy. I think it's somebody else. I can't go into the detail. But I mean, you are looking at this from you are looking at this from a different angle. You're basically saying he would have a reason, right? Because you ruined my relationship, you ended my marriage, and he could have a reason. But I think it's somebody else, because else we else we are just dealing with a fucking nut job.
I don't know how I get in somebody's relationship. That's something they do on their own. I mean, what this guy said, I mean, I don't know. You could write me on the email as who you think that was, because my memory doesn't serve me. But I remember the guy talking about it, and I'm thinking, who the fuck is this guy? How did I end his relationship or something? Something about that I caught him talking to an underage girl or some shit. I don't know what it was. I'm trying to exercise my memory on this. And somehow his wife got a hold of that or something. And I'm thinking, who the fuck is this? When did that happen? And, I'm not, I don't have total recall on this at all, but I know this guy was really upset with me. But yeah, it is kind of crazy when you think about how much time they devote on me. Don C. and people like that, who's supposed to have a great relationship with his wife, supposed to have money, be happy. He's busy doing his business online, but yet he's got bells ringing all over the house. When I do a show, he's there. He's going to be there. He tried to get away with a lot of shit, too, with Nika and all that stuff, and it didn't work for him. So he has extra anger with me that, that lawyer he tried to hire and it didn't go his way. it furthers his anger toward me because it doesn't matter how much money he put out on that. The fact is he couldn't win. And ever since, these people have been eating crow the whole goddamn time. I don't know anybody out there so far that has not eaten crow so far. They've called me every name in the book. Every name in the book, and I've committed supposedly every crime in the world. Look at it this way, Aloe. If I was really guilty of something bad, I would have been off YouTube a long time ago. I would have went into my turtle shell like Popeye does when somebody's after him. I would have went in my turtle shell. I would have got off YouTube a long time ago. I wouldn't keep on giving them information about me or my family and my goings on. I'd be scared in the corner somewhere. I am not intimidated. I repeat, I am not and have not been intimidated by anyone on here to date. There's nobody size or age or anything that has actually gotten to the point of intimidating me to the point that I'm going to run away with my tail between my legs. And that's to be admired. And they do admire that. But they don't like the idea. They want to see me cower. They want to see me put, a 20-foot wall in front of my house. They want to see me, not leave my room or whatever. My life has not changed a bit. Still do whatever I normally do. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just trying to look up something because you mentioned Don C. And I want to tell you that there is a bet going on between me and Don C. Do you know that? I think we have some technical issues here again. Just to the audience, there is a bet going on between me and Don C. And what's the bet all about? I said, and I know I'm going to lose this fucking bet. I said Bama is going to be out of prison by the end of this year. And it's more like, I hope he won't be out of prison, but I think he might be out of prison at the end of this year. And Don C said, nope, he is going to be in prison even by the end of 2026. And I know I already looked it up.
Even I don't know.
Yeah, and I looked it up.
Even I don't know.
Yeah. And
I don't even know. I mean, how could they speculate? They're all experts on everything.
Yeah, but it's a bet. It's a bet. It's just nobody actually really knows. He just thinks he will still be in there, and I think he's going to win that bet. And so I already looked it up on the internet. How am I going to send him that fucking bottle of port wine? Because the bet is about the fucking bottle of port wine, and I intend to honor my commitment and to honor that.
What's funny? What's really funny? I'll tell you, all these players on here that are against me, and I think before the Barry situation plays out, and let's say the Barry situation, how long he's going to be in there and all that stuff. I think before that plays out, I think half of these players are probably going to be 6 foot in their grave already. There's a lot of them that are really not in good shape and health and their habits, and they're obese and, age and obesity and a lot of other factors. A lot of the players may not even be around by the time Barry gets out of jail. They may not live to see what happens on either one of these things, to be honest with you. And a lot of these people are going down. Another guy named Ian, I forgot who that is, but you were mentioning that. And all these people that are dying, they're really, look at Big Kevin and all these people. They're really seriously out of shape. And they've been out of shape heart-wise and obesity and everything else, and diabetes, Ricky, and all these people. Most of them have all something in common. They're not healthy. They're not happy. They're not settled in their life as they like to show us they are. Ricky's in bad shape. Kevin's in bad shape. Don C is not exactly a small man. He's overweight. He's up there in the age too. Ed's disappeared, and by the way, what's the inside information on Roberto?
I just logged into, as you saw earlier, right? I just logged into my Willem Aloysius de Winter FB account because usually I'm not on that, and I tried to, as you know, I tried to reach out to you, and we tried to, connect. It didn't happen. I do not know why. Maybe it's the privacy setting. And then I saw on the FB and the Messenger that Roberto left several group chats, and he also closed one of the conversations, the window, the chat window he had with me. So I do believe there was a rumor, though, that he has some health issues, and if that's true, then I wish him the best. As you remember, I know you are not a fan of Roberto, but Roberto, I consider him one of what I would refer to as a friend. If that makes any sense in the YouTube world. But I do not
Well, I
know.
thought he.
I do not know
Well,
what happened.
he.
But
It is a rumor that he had Alzheimer's and it got bad.
that's something that I would something in me tells me that that might be true, and I tell you why. Let's be very open about this. I
I
tell
know
you
why
why
too.
because
Go ahead.
because when you must have noticed that when Roberto was asked the question on the live streams, that he would be rather slow when he responded. He has a
Yep.
he speaks very slow, like hey Roberto,
Yep.
what's up? He would go like, hey guys, what's up, man? Something like that. And I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I think that might be true. And also the fact that he just disappeared is I think that's typical for people who are facing some sort of life changing situation, and
Well, also
it will make sense.
to mention the one thing that was on his Facebook page a while back, that all of a sudden he was supporting the Alzheimer's Foundation and wanted people to make donations. That usually happens when you yourself have a particular disease.
Or,
And you hear it all the time.
anyone near you, like one of your family relatives or something like that. But
Yeah.
but the fact that he just disappeared from one day to another, and then the
Yeah, that's
rumor
not like
itself.
him.
I mean,
He's always
I
had
just don't
something
really know.
to say about me. He's always had something bad to say about me. He would show up like a bad and even do a title of a show and not even do anything and just rank at me or something.
He often
would
did,
say
he often
Katino-
did that because he wanted to get under your fucking skin. He told me about that. He was just like putting. I know what you're referring to. He would just mention like Frank. Frank getting deported, something like that, the big reveal or something like that. It's just like a title, right? You remember, and then he would just always extend the deadline of the live stream, and he did that just
I
to
think
get a
he's
reaction.
I think he's mentally or physically gone, because there's no way in the world that Roberto wouldn't come on and keep attacking me. There's definitely something wrong. Somebody knows it. Popeye might even know it, but doesn't want to say it. Somebody does know.
I mean,
what's going on
you are
with him,
right about
but
the
they don't-
fact that somebody knows it. If somebody might know, I would say maybe it would be Dave, or maybe Lauren. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure how close they were, but I believe Dave and Roberto were like talking regularly. I do not think that Popeye knows about it. But at this point, it's just pure speculation. But I do tend to believe the fact, or the rumor, rather, that it might have to do something with his health. What is
Yeah.
also rather strange is that I remember, I think this is like a couple of years ago, before Roberto disappeared, he made a trip out to the Philippines. He made a trip out to the Philippines, and then after that, he disappeared, and that might be another reason why or it could be the reason why he disappeared, because maybe he had some sort of I don't know, like awakening where he felt like, you know what am I doing on this fucking social media account? Because, you know, Roberto
No,
often, and I
no.
think he has been very open about that, he mentioned it often that he spends way too much time on the internet, on YouTube, on social media. It makes him grumpy, it makes him moody, he gets sucked into the fucking hate, and
Or maybe his
he felt
family
it,
or his
yeah.
wife had enough of him being on
That
YouTube,
that
and she
that that
gave
could be
him
very well
an
be the reason.
ultimatum.
Yeah, that could be very well be the reason. That could be another
Gave him an
factor. Yeah,
ultimatum.
but
It's you or
if
me.
Roberto is out there somewhere or somebody who knows about his situation, please feel free to contact me and yeah, via email or Discord or whatever. I would like to know. I would like to know. I
And
hope he's
by
all
the
right.
way, I got a feeling, and I go with my instinct, that Dave has probably been back in the Philippines for quite a while. And I think things were getting too tough in America. Then when COVID came and everything else, I think that they made a little money. They both went to work, which they did, and maybe with help from Daddy, who always helped them out. I think because she has family, a lot of family in the Philippines, that they've been back the whole time. They just didn't want anybody to know about it. I still think that Dave is still on YouTube, but going under a fictitious name. He's a troll because Dave was very much intertwined with everything going on YouTube. It became part of his blood, and it was, as I said, it's really hard for people who've been so involved in troll activity and their opinion and everything else on YouTube not to be on YouTube, and they always come
I'm
back or they're always in the
to
background.
let me just say a few things to that. I think that's possible, right? Because we just do not know. I definitely do not know what he is up to, what he is doing, but I do not think that he is still active in this community because after the RRR show, and you remember the RR, the glorious RRR days, at the end of the year, that was like probably September, October, Dave moved from the Davao area, I think it was, back to Texas, back to the San Antonio area. And I think, and then a lot of you guys out there can confirm that, I think he got really fed up with the community. And ever since, uh, I have not spoken to him anymore, because there was talk in the background that there might be some sort of reunion show, like an RRR reunion show or something like that. And it never really happened. And I think, and again, this is just pure speculation on my part. Um, I think he's really tired of the community, because he also got really involved in a lot of it. And, the RRR association, of course. I think some people just moved on from that and said, you know what, it's not worth my time. I got other things to do. And yeah. But if I would take a bet, I would not think or say that he is back in the Philippines and that he is still part of the genre. At least I do not know if he's still active. I think there are a lot of people who have different accounts or are very active on here. No doubt about that. But I think Dave Phelps is not one of them, to tell you. But again, I could be wrong. So we still have I think we have a technical problem here again. 1, 2, 3. Frank, can you hear me? Let's just wait a second until Frank gets back. Yeah, here you are. Did you hear what I just said about Dave Phelps? That I think he is
Yes.
not back, and so again, I could be
Yes.
wrong. But if anybody out there knows, please let us know. Please let us know. And again, also about Roberto and a few other guys. And I had a comment on the last vlog, again on the Barry Jordan Frank Battaglia statement. Somebody mentioned my good old friend Andy Omar. And the question was, what happened to Andy Omar? He also just disappeared. And I want to just put that out there. I do not have any communication with Andy Omar. As you guys remember, we did a couple of live streams together. We went after the frog. What's his name? What's his real name again? The frog? Henry Veles. Yeah, you know the dating expert, in the Philippines. We went after that guy for a couple of times, and then Andy went after Scotty Boy, Finneran. I think that's his Scotty Finneran or something like that. The Canadian guy, the Babe Rooney guy. You know him, Frank. And after that, Andy disappeared. So if there's anybody out there, or Andy, if you're listening, I don't think you are, reach out, come over and say hello. I think his Discord account is still working. Yeah, I think it's still working. So there are actually a lot of people who are not active anymore in the community, and then there are a couple of guys who came back after a hiatus, and they are now trying to restart their channels. There's a lot going on in the community, but it has definitely changed over the last few years, and I
think Andy got himself a lot of trouble. I think Andy got himself in a lot of trouble, like most people do. It got overwhelming for him, like it usually does. You know, you can have fun so much and talk about people, but there's always somebody out there that's psychologically imbalanced that is going to take another step further. I mean, I'm sure in Andy's situation, he probably had.
So you're still cutting out there again? You might have changed location or something. Yeah, Andy Omar, ladies and gentlemen, the guy who was known in the community for his hardcore bashing live streams. And yeah, he really went after Scott and I think Tim K, right? Henry and a few other guys. Let's just wait a minute for Frank to get back in. And let me check. We are now.
Hello.
Yeah. Do you have some technical?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What happened? Technical issues? Technical problems?
I don't know. I went out to have a smoke. Maybe I was a different.
Yeah. That's
go back in my air-conditioned
okay.
living room.
Yeah. That's
okay.
usually
Anyway,
it, yeah.
the bottom line is that most of these people out here, they got more problems than anybody that they actually talk about on here. They don't want to admit it. You know, and like I said, money is not everything. When, you know, the one thing I can say about myself is that, you know, money has never been something that has been a huge issue for me that I would even talk about, really. Nobody knows if I have a dime in the bank or 10 million dimes. People don't know because I don't tell them. It's none of their business, but I don't use money as a tool. And one of the things they said about Barry in relation to that, you know, yeah, you just go on and pick on people who have less money than you are. Maybe I got less money than Barry. You don't fucking know. Nobody knows what I have here. I'm not telling people. You know why I doubt that too. But, you know, the thing is that, yeah, Frank could only pick on people. He's not picking on people with money. That's what they said.
Yeah,
I don't
bullshit.
care what you're worth. I don't care if you're a pauper or you're a fucking millionaire. If you do wrong, you do wrong. I'm not looking at it in the dollar signs. Oh, I'm not going after somebody or this person particularly because, well, they got more money than me. They could cause more damage to me. I never looked at it that way. Money has never been an issue of, you know, if I have a disagreement with somebody and I don't work it that way. Oh, Barry was an easy target, they said. No, Barry wasn't an easy target in a way. He got away with a lot of shit, you know, but nobody could do what I did. They're upset that, well, you know, we didn't like this guy. They probably even took money off these people too. I mean, who didn't he take money off, right? And they had an issue with Barry. Everybody had an issue with Barry, you know, but, you know, they'd rather go on Barry's side, because Barry doesn't have the money to defend himself and all that. Well, he should have thought about that before he got into trouble, number one. And I don't use Barry as a target for that. I don't care if Barry had $1 million in the bank. He either did wrong or he did not. That's either fucked people over, me or anybody else, or he did not. But I said he's lucky. Now, as far as this little shit going on with him and his girlfriend, all this bullshit back and forth, let's just pop into that for a little bit and then we'll call it a day.
Sure.
She's just as guilty as he is, okay? And if she goes along with his shenanigans, she's just as bad as him.
She supports his
She
criminal
doesn't
behavior.
realize-
Yeah.
Huh?
She supports his
I mean,
criminal
she's-
behavior. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's trying to destroy your life for it as a form of revenge. There's nothing else to it. I
What
mean,
she doesn't
that's all you need to
understand
know.
is that I could actually put her life in a situation
As you
legally,
should. As you should.
and I have all the evidence in the world to do that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, harboring and aiding and abetting a criminal, they take that pretty seriously in this country. And I looked it up as you figured I would, as anybody else would figure I looked it up. And I know a lot about this. And perjury on top of that, if it turns out that not the court, it's just a complaint. By the way, just to let people understand, this is not a case. It's not a criminal case. In fact, as my lawyer quoted to me in his counter affidavits.
It is an administrative process, right?
Right. It's more of a civil complaint than it is anything else. And it should have been submitted. If she wanted to submit something, it should have been submitted as a civil action and not a deportation issue. Look at the creeps out there and what they've done. What have I done in comparison to that would make me? Every one of these characters out here is a what do you call a person? My brain is going on.
Undesirable.
Undesirable is undesirable. How could you even compare? Look at these people, what they say, what they do. And, even guys with popular shows are talking about the Philippines. You got the one English guy. Hello, you lovely people. Philippines in the eyes of an expat. Jim, and you got all these people. They're all talking shit about Philippines and the culture and everything else, and they're undesirable.
Yeah.
Scotty, who's grabbing a fucking,
Definitely,
Scotty,
yeah.
who's grabbing,
Scotty, yeah. Mm-hmm.
who's grabbing a woman's breast, I mean, the shit that these people get away with, And why do you think Philly is not living in Angeles City? Because did you hear that he was nominated in a nominee for one of these prestigious awards for, and they the trolls like to joke about that Frank is jealous or something. Give me a fucking break. Philly used to chase all the whores. That's what his show is all about in Angeles City.
It's clickbait.
That's all he did.
Promoting the red light district, but he always tries to distance himself from it. But that's how he made money. That's how he makes. It's actually back in Uncut City, I saw.
Yeah. And, what do you think Philly did? That's why I was laughing when I found out that he was nominated. He put it on there that he was a nominee for this award. It's supposed to be going to a foreigner who has the best interest.
Best entertainment to Philly and the Philippines. I didn't hear about that, but maybe you can leave a comment. If anybody out there knows about that, leave a comment down below.
No, they all know about it. Philly came out with it, right? He showed the paperwork. I said, are you out of your fucking mind? Are you kidding me? I said, this has got to be bullshit. But I looked it up on ChatGPT, and he is nominated. It's for real. And I'm saying, this is a guy who walks in the street. And how many derogatory comments have I heard him say about some street vendor or some business or something going on in the street? And this guy is going to get a fucking nomination.
He has a little bit of a temper. He's very sensitive about it. He doesn't really show it, but he has a little bit of a temper. He threatened me a couple of times, several times already in the past.
I was actually laughing at that, saying, you got to be fucking kidding me. This guy's no exemplary person when it comes to the culture
I
and
agree.
Filipinos. I've heard things he said in the street to people. I've
I
heard
agree.
derogatory comments all the time.
Yeah,
And the fact that he hung around Angeles City all the time, photographing the prostitutes all the time against their will.
yeah.
These guys are all fucking mental cases. I think we should probably end it here as part 2 anyway. But
This is
we
part 2.
covered a
Yeah,
lot of
good, good,
bases on here.
good live stream. It's not live, but good podcast, good record.
But as far as me coming back on YouTube,
Yeah, maybe
as
you.
far as like you got a divided group out there. Some people saying, "Good, I hope he stays off YouTube." But the fact is, they wouldn't have much to talk about if I stayed off YouTube. And if I am off YouTube permanently, their lives are going to fall apart.
You just need to take one big last victory lap once once the complaint gets dismissed. But before we end this podcast here, I always do the last round, last thoughts, last comments, and I would like to ask you: would you be willing to continue this and do an episode 3, maybe episode 4 when something comes up? Because my plan is I will publish the first episode in maybe tonight or tomorrow, and then let's see how it goes, and then I will publish the second one maybe a few days later.
Publish it tonight, and we'll get a good feel for it.
Sure. Yeah.
And where this is going. So
Yeah.
publish it tonight, and then you let them know there's a part 2, obviously, and maybe the last one is an opinion about, and people getting their honest opinion about how innocent they think that Barry's girlfriend is, and what she's doing, is it right or wrong.
We can talk. We can
why.
talk about anything you want, because this is easy for me. I just get in touch, and then
But let me end
do
this
the
with
talking,
something
and
to
then
say
that's
here.
it.
Let me end this with something here
please.
on part 2.
Please.
They think that I'm pulling out my hair, not doing the show. Look, I even have another SIM card if I want, but that would have to take all my material off my phone, all saved stuff. It would be really horrible. Horrible. I don't mind because I have a lot more time for myself, for me and my girlfriend. It's been actually very beneficial for me not to be on. And it was the 3 months I was off, but then I had a wild hair and I came back on. But the way I feel right now is such. Because I don't have a Google account on my phone, and they got me pegged. I could go under a different email name and they still catch me, because I tried to go on. I decided to give it an effort and say, that didn't work. I said, why am I doing this? Maybe it was meant, so it's more of a hassle. Now, my computer, my laptop, and my phone are 2 different entities. They're not connected as such with my Facebook and phone to the other, the Oppo to my Acer computer. They're totally separate. I mean, it would take a lot of involvement to get them synced. That's the word, to get them synced. And they're not. And the only way I could see anybody's show, it's a big hassle for me. I'd have to make sure it was charged. I'd have to go on there, pull up a screen, because it's all messed up on there. I'd have to go to a search engine and put somebody's channel name in, where I have that convenience on my phone if it was all set up. There's a list of people. I just hit on the list. Whose show I want to listen to, if they have a show on. Or they're all my favorites or whatever, or I'm subscribed or whatever. Bing, bang, boom, hit a button, they're on, okay? But since I have to go to the laptop, it becomes such a hassle that many times I went to grab the laptop and I just closed it. I said, fuck it. I'd have to go punch in a name of a show, and it turned out to be boring. I said, fuck it. And then I'd have to go. Then some advertiser or something would come up, and I didn't hit, and I don't know. It's all messed up on a computer, which is a great thing, because I'm realizing more and more that YouTube does not have that much meaning to me anymore. It's just, it's like, what more can I say on a show I haven't said before? And as they said to most people, the trolls, they listen because I do have something to say. But the problem is they're trying to catch me with some kind of a demeaning statement or something they could use against me. But I don't force anybody with
They're
a gun
waiting
to
for
their
you
head
to
to
make a
listen to me.
mistake. They're waiting for you to say something they can use against you. That's what this is all
But
about.
now I got more enjoyment. Just like it those 3 months I was off, I'm getting more enjoyment from just occasionally listening because I actually don't know. In fact, even Philippine Antics, I do actually try to tune into their show to hear more of her bullshit. Now it's become very clear to me. It's become clear to me that she is in not that bad a position with her heart. She has
Of
no
course.
problem coming on her show.
Of course.
Her air oxygen
Yeah.
isn't even turned on.
Yeah.
You would actually hear the microphone is sensitive enough. You could probably pick up a little sound from the oxygen. She seems to have no problem putting on long ass shows for somebody with anxiety and heart conditions. They're all scam. Everybody
It's all
on here is a
BS.
fucking
It's true.
scammer.
Yeah, it's all BS.
They're all scammers.
Yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
one of them is a scammer. Believe me, I know because I've seen people who've had cancer and their shows are on Facebook. A very attractive young lady, 29 years old, talented with a violin and married. Her shows have been on. She died last October 20th of last year, and her shows are still on because her boyfriend or husband or whatever it is running these shows because they're getting clicked and baits and all that shit. There's a lot of people who also don't want to admit to their bad health situations. Jim from not Jim, but by the way, he's another one that's on his way out with those steroids, but we won't get into that another show.
I remember.
What's his
Jim
name?
Asian Adventure or something.
Philippines retirement. Mike's Philippines retirement. Okay, for example, he's got some major problems going on. And this guy talks like he knows everything, and he's an expert on women, but yet his woman left him. Now, we don't know the reason for that. That guy really makes me sick. I mean, I must say it. I'm going to call a spade a spade. That guy, among many, really make me sick.
You know what? Make a list of like 3 people you want to talk about, and then we'll do another show specifically for these 3 people. What do you think about that? You're not saying anything. Either that's a technical problem or you think it's a shitty idea. But I think you can hear me. Make a list of, let's say, 3 or 4 people you want to talk about, then come up with a list of, let's say, 1 or 2 or 3 topics, and then we'll do an episode 3. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we should talk about Barry's girlfriend.
Okay,
nothing illegal, of course, but
Sure,
I think we need to get an opinion about what they feel. They have to actually, but you can't get people to do this. They don't want to be on pro-Frank side at all. But I want an honest opinion from people, which they're not going to give, though. That's the problem.
I think they don't give a shit about her. I think she is an instrument. I think she is a tool in all of this. She is someone they use to destroy you, basically. That's what this is. I mean, that's definitely what Bama is doing. That's the purpose of her doing what she is doing. I think that's very clear. But again, we can talk about that on episode 3 and a few other topics.
The bottom line, let me end it with this. The bottom line is that what she's doing is so absolutely wrong and not right. I don't care if it's because she wants to support her boyfriend. It's wrong. She could try to destroy a family. Never mind the love me and my girlfriend have and the time we've been together. Never mind her children that we take care of, her 2 children. She wants to, because she can't get Barry in the way she wants. She wants to see me suffer for it. Okay? What kind of a horrible, dark-hearted person can this woman be? Barry is that special to her that she's willing to risk her life legally, and she worries about saving face, but what about ramifications on all this, okay? What about the ramifications of her being untruthful? which she's not thinking very clearly on this. She is clearly wrong. I've never called her a whore, a prostitute. There's not one person, not one aloe, that was able to come out with a tape, a real tape, not edited, not AI or anything, where I ever called to those words or I represented some physical threat to her in any form or way. I never even met the woman. It is very clear that she's being vindictive because of Barry. I don't know what her social situation is, why she can't find another man, and she's so dependent on Barry. I have no idea what that's all about. That sounds more of a personal problem to me than anything else, or a social problem. That's not my problem. But all she has to do is say, hey, I don't like Frank because he was instrumental in getting my hoped-for boyfriend, fiance, to be in my life, and I'm mad at him because of that. That would have been just fine and dandy, but not to put a phony complaint about me. What people don't understand, put themselves in my shoes and how would they feel about that. They wouldn't feel very good about that at all. But they're not in my shoes. So they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck if she's telling a lie or not. They're going along with it. Like this poor madam, damsel in distress. What fucking distress? Now, the other last thing, and there's always a last thing, this won't be the last thing. PTSD, my fucking lily white ass.
Yeah, that's a joke. That's a complete fucking joke. I've seen that. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the other thing too is, things have a way of backfiring on you. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't mean about a legal thing or nothing. That's something else. As people have seen her shows, they're going to see a common denominator. If you go back at her shows, she has taken to drinking. Now, I could lie about this, or I cannot. I cannot lie about it because people have seen it. They heard what she had to say. She's been taken to drinking. She must be really bothered by all this. I think she's being pressured by all this. I think it's taking a large chunk of her soul, or actually her patience and her tolerance level and her anxieties, and turning it in against herself. Because the common thing I've noticed in the past year or two, she took to drinking and she was talking about it. And she stared at the camera. I don't know if this is what I should do. And I just need to, calm down. And they saw her in the store about to buy liquor. They had liquor parties with her cousins and friends. She'd be drinking with them all the time. And I don't remember her as a drinker. So put it this way. There already is, I don't know if you want to call it karma, whatever you want to call it. She's now, as a result of her lies, has taken into drinking. Now, I'm not saying anything illegal here that needs a disclaimer. All you need to do is see her shows on how much she got into drinking parties and talking about alcohol, staring at the camera and saying, this is the way I have to deal with stuff and all that. That's not my doing. That's a personal problem that she has, that she brought against herself. So, yeah, she's feeling guilty for this. She took to drinking. We never knew her as a drinker. Throughout the history of her and Barry, we never known her to really support. Well, she used to buy him bottles in the jail, but over at Mandawi, somebody did, and she's the only one who used to come over on a regular basis. Disclaimer, no disclaimer for that, actually, or whatever.
I understand. I'm not sure if you were cutting out there. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'll try to listen to the show tonight, part one. This is also the better part is part two, but give them something to look forward to.
More
anyway.
to
But
come,
I'll tell you
more
the
to
truth.
come. We'll make a fucking Netflix series out of it. Last question for
Hey,
you.
let's take donations on this too.
Last
let's
question
get some
for you.
donations on this too.
On a less serious note, rather. What do you think about your new nickname? It's actually not really new. They call you the Lion of Battaglia. What do you think about that?
Well, the lion is an animal, but I'm definitely not lying.
No, the lion
No,
of
I'm just
Battaglia.
A better title would be the Philippines Phoenix. That's a
The
better one.
Philippines Phoenix. I like that one. I like that. I'll see to it that I can spread the word. The Philippines Phoenix.
Well,
I like that one.
Phoenix, the Phoenix always rises from the ashes, and I have for 10 years.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
like
it's
that.
been a pleasure, sir.
The Philippines Phoenix. That's a good one. That's a good one. I will upload the episode one tonight, and it's now 3:52 p.m. and I'll send you a link.
Sounds good, and you don't need a link. I could actually go to your show
Oh
on my
okay, yeah.
laptop.
Sure.
And my links don't work on my phone. Nothing works on here. You know, people try to send me links and stuff, and the mailman and other people, the links just don't open. As I said, it's pretty screwed up on here. But I'm glad people got to hear our sides of the story on here, both yours and mine. And I know they're laughing, saying, well, Al was wasn't the biggest advocate of Mr. B. But I know where you're coming from. That's the only reason I even talk to you. I understand, it's not your agenda, you don't have anything really personal against it. You said a lot of crap about me, that's for sure. But you are different than a lot of other people on here because they have an agenda. You never had an agenda. So I could deal with that. Okay. And you kind of know what's going on, and you know what's really going on. And you do see both sides of the story rather than being, I don't know, just people just put their sights on one thing and it's one opinion, and that's all the opinion it is. You see both sides of the story where other people are just focused on one person saying, well, they're wrong. And they don't want to go beyond that and see the rest of the story. What's the rest of the story? What is the real true Hollywood story? And you have an ability to tell that in your own way, as well as I do. So we have something in common anyway. It's been a pleasure. We'll catch you on the next one, I guess. I guess we could do a part 3 on this.
That would be
Let's
great.
try to send
That would be great. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 2. More to come. The Philippines Phoenix, Frank Battaglia. Thank you very much, Frank, and we'll stay in touch. I'll contact you, okay?
It's been a pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much. See you on episode 3. Bye-bye.
Okay. We're out of here.